Imaging in ENT. CT. Computer tomogram is primarily used to delineate anatomical bony margins. Unenhanced CT scans are indicated for trauma, assessment of sinus anatomy, benign sinus disease prior to functional endoscopic sinus surgery. Assessing bone invasion in sinonasal or other head and neck tumors. This is a coronal CT and it shows how clearly the bony demarcations are highlighted. The laminae papillaceae, the middle turbinate, the inferior turbinate, the maxillary sinus or the maxillary antrum, the inferior orbital nerve, the laminae papillaceae. High resolution CT, HRCT of the temporal bone, is used for assessment of bony anatomy in the middle ear and inner ear. This is a HRCT of the inner ear. The red arrow shows the head of malleus. The green arrow shows the short process of incus. This shows the auditory canal and the semicircular canal. All these minor structures we can very nicely appreciate. CT can also be useful for staging head and neck cancers in patients who have contraindications to MRI. Modern multi-slice CT scanners acquire data volumetrically, allowing multiplanar reconstruction of CT images. Now, this is particularly useful in oncology and in complex anatomical evaluation of the temporal bone. It is important to remember that CT uses radiation. Although the dose received is much lower on modern scanners, it is essential to limit its injudicious use, particularly in children. CT is contraindicated in pregnancy. The use of intravenous iodinated contrast medium is contraindicated in those with a history of allergy to IV iodine, but not topical iodine, and in strongly atopic patients. IV contrast can be given cautiously in these patients as long as there is medical backup. Steroid use pre injection is no longer thought to confer any benefit and is not used. Patients with renal impairment should not be given IV contrast unless absolutely necessary, and in those circumstances, there should be involvement of the renal team pre scan and for follow up with urinary function tests. MRI. Magnetic resonance imaging provides markedly superior definition of soft tissues in any imaging plane and is therefore preferable in delineating the extent of any head and neck lesions. T1 weighted images. In these images, the fluid signal in cerebrospinal fluid or in the globes appear dark, whereas fat appears white. T1 weighted images are useful to look at the extent of tumors as they tend to grow through and obliterate fat planes. The loss of the normal fat in bone marrow in the mandible and within skull base foramen on T1 weighted image is particularly useful in staging. T2 weighted images. Here, fluid appears to be of high signal and fat is also bright or white. T2 weighted images are useful for looking for high signal fluid necrosis in metastatic lymph nodes from a squamous cell carcinoma and for distinguishing a sinus tumor from surrounding fluid secretions. Diffusion weighted images use the diffusion of water molecules to generate contrast. It is useful to differentiate cholesteatoma from fluid secretions. The water molecules in cholesteatoma are not free to diffuse, that is, they are restricted and therefore appear bright on a diffusion weighted scan. Diffusion weighted images has also been used to differentiate tumor recurrence from post radiation changes and has a role in imaging the brain of patients who have suffered an acute stroke. This shows the various differences in signal weighted MR intensity weighted CT image appearance for water, fat, malignant tissue, cortical bone. The various signals and appearances in various imaging modalities. Gadolinium. Gadolinium is a paramagnetic contrast agent used in MRI. It behaves in exactly the same way as iodine based contrast medium described in CT section. Fat saturated T1 images post gadolinium are used to demonstrate enhancement, that is, an increase in signal, and are useful for showing enhancement in a wall of a necrotic lymph node or for enhancing tumors. Fat saturated means that the bright fat signal is suppressed or removed from the image, leaving the pathology more conspicuous. Short tau inversion recovery STIR sequence is a T2 weighted scan with fat signal suppression. Now, this shows pathology and fluid as white in the image and therefore more conspicuous than an ordinary T2 weighted image. This sequence is of great value in the delineation of head and neck cancers. This is called short tau inversion recovery sequence, that is STIR sequence. MRI cannot be used in patients with cardiac pacemakers, iron containing brain clips, certain cardiac prosthetic valves and implants, and also in the first trimester of pregnancy. Gadolinium should also be used with caution in patients with renal impairment. Patients can have an anaphylactic reaction to IV gadolinium. However, this is less common than with IV iodinated contrast. Ultrasound. Ultrasound is a very useful technique for the assessment of masses in the neck, thyroid goiters, and for suspected salivary gland pathology. It does not involve any radiation exposure. It can be linked with ultrasound guided fine needle aspiration performed as an outpatient procedure at the time of diagnostic scanning. A high frequency handheld probe at the range of 10 MHz is placed directly on the neck, and the fine needle can be visualized directly entering individual lesions as small as 1 centimeter in diameter. As a technique, however, it is very operator dependent, requiring an ultrasonologist with specific technical skills who performs head and neck ultrasound regularly. Positron emission tomography. Positron emission tomography, computer tomography, PET-CT scan uses radioactive glucose in the form of fluorodeoxyglucose FDG as the tracer. The FDG is injected into the patient and it accumulates in areas of high metabolic activity. Now, this will include normal structures such as the brain and heart. The tracer is excreted by the kidneys and therefore the urinary tract will also show increased activity. Increased activity is also a feature of tumors referred to as PET positive lesions. PET and CT images are required during the scan and the images are then fused by software to allow a map of functional activity onto structural landmarks. In head and neck, the two main indicators are the for investigation of a primary of unknown origin and for patients with suspected recurrent head and neck cancer. FDG PET CT is expensive and confers a high radiation dose to the patient. However, the advantage over structural imaging alone outweighs this. This is an FDG PET image. This shows primary squamous cell carcinoma left tongue base, and this shows metastatic level 2 lymph node. FDG PET scan. Sentinel node imaging. Sentinel node imaging for head and neck is indicated in patients with early T1 oral cavity tumors and NO neck on conventional imaging. The primary tumor is injected perorally with technetium 99M nanocolloid, and then dynamic and static nuclear medicine images as well as delayed SPECT CT images are taken for localization. The patient then undergoes surgery the day after the sentinel node imaging, and the first order drainage node is identified with a gamma probe in the theatre and removed. The whole of the node is sectioned and analyzed for tumor involvement. If the node is positive for metastatic disease, the patient is offered a formal neck dissection at a later date. If negative, the patient undergoes 2 years of ultrasound neck surveillance with 3 monthly ultrasound scan to identify any nodal recurrence. Plain films. Following the increased use of complex diagnostic techniques such as CT and MR, plain films are rarely used for diagnostic purposes in ENT. The Royal College of Radiologists guidelines recommend that plain films of the sinuses are not routinely indicated. The radiation dose of a 4 projection sinus series is equivalent to 25 chest X-ray doses or 10 weeks of background radiation. Lateral soft tissue views of the neck are of limited value in isolation. They may demonstrate opaque foreign bodies, but many foreign bodies are likely to be non-opaque. Contrast swallows are more accurate in this situation. Contrast swallow. A contrast swallow is indicated in the investigation of dysphagia or symptoms suggestive of motility disorders. Barium swallows are of superior sensitivity in demonstrating pharyngeal pouches, pharyngeal webs. A web is a linear line indenting the anterior aspect of the barium column at the level of C5, C6, and cricopharyngeus hypertrophy, which indents the posterior column of the barium at C6, C7 level. Digital screening is preferred to reduce radiation dosage. Image acquisition is preferable at the rate of 2 frames per second during a bolus swallow. Motility disorders are best assessed using dynamic video swallow fluoroscopy. Water-soluble contrast swallows using non-ionic, relatively inert contrast medium are indicated when the history suggests that aspiration into the lungs is a real risk. If barium is used in these circumstances, it may lead to a resistant chest infection or permanent lung damage. So, therefore, in such conditions, water-soluble contrast is preferred. When perforation of the esophagus is suspected or surgical anastomosis being evaluated, in these cases, when barium is used, circumstances will remain in the soft tissue if a leak is present, obscuring the area for further follow-up studies. And being a viscous thick suspension, it is less likely to demonstrate small esophageal leaks. Therefore, in such conditions, water-soluble contrast swallows are preferred. Imaging and otology. Cholesteatoma. Congenital cholesteatoma presents as an avascular mass behind an intact tympanic membrane and usually occurs in children or young adults with male predominance. HRCT of the temporal bone show a well-defined mass in the middle ear with or without ossicular erosion. In acquired cholesteatoma, imaging shows a mass in Prasax space in the attic region of the middle ear cleft, that is a pars flaccida. Ossicular erosion is seen in 70% of pars flaccida cholesteatoma. There may also be erosion in the scutum and lateral epitympanic wall. Pars tensa cholesteatoma is less common and is typically seen in the posterior mesotympanum. And here, differential diagnosis for all types of cholesteatoma would include cholesterol granuloma, glomus tympanicum, or fluid opacification of the middle cleft. HRCT is usually used in the first line of investigation to look for a middle mass with associated bone erosion. MRI with diffusion weighted imaging is helpful to differentiate cholesteatoma from fluid or post surgical change. Cholesteatoma is typically avascular and does not enhance post gadolinium. However, it may show peripheral enhancement due to granulation or scar tissue. Vestibular schwannoma. The typical appearance of a vestibular schwannoma is of an enhancing mass at the cerebropontine angle or within the internal artery meatus. Normal anatomy of the internal artery meatus, and the red arrow here shows the seventh nerve. The blue arrow shows the vestibulocochlear nerve. MRI is usually the first line of investigation in patients presenting with sensorineural hearing loss and or tinnitus. High resolution T2 weighted images of the CP angle gives excellent detail of the vestibulocochlear nerve, and this can be used as a screening tool for vestibular schwannomas. Larger tumors may show central areas of cystic degeneration, shown on both T2 weighted and post gadolinium scans. Schwannomas can significantly increase in size on serial scans due to interval cystic degeneration. Large areas of cystic change may make these tumors less suitable for radiotherapy treatment compared to solid tumors. Bilateral vestibular schwannomas occur in neurofibromatosis. This, therefore, is a comprehensive overall overview of imaging in ENT.